What do we have for
weight loss? Well, there is a third drug that's available through certain compound pharmacies already. It's actually supposed to be better than the other two with increased weight loss, because with semaglutide, the 6-month studies showed about a 15% total body weight loss with Ozempic, where your tirzepatide patients are going to lose up to 20 to 22%, where retatrutide, you're going to lose about 24%, which is comparable to, bariatric surgeries between 20 to 25% total body weight loss on it. So when you got a medication that's that close, and phentermine was the greatest thing before this, was 8 to 10% total body weight loss. When you got these things, instead of needing to do surgery, it's great medications to come out. And not only do they, suppress your hunger, they make you think differently about food, but they're being studied for tons of other things that it's helping out. That's ridiculous. Well, the main thing, they're out for diabetes and glucose control and decreasing your hemoglobin A1C. And guess what? The primary care physicians are still scared to give it to patients. They tell them to go on diet and exercise or put them on controlled diet. I'm like, you're already diabetic. Your kidneys are getting a shot if your hemoglobin A1C is that high.
Every day having that kind of floating A1C level.
Why are you letting this person damage their entire body that they've already been damaging? They're pre-diabetic. They've already started most of the damage, increase their risk of Alzheimer's, cardiovascular disease. You give them something like Ozempic, they start losing weight. The ways it's good for you is, fat contains a lot of inflammatory products. So if you decrease the fat, you're going to decrease inflammation. They're studying it for osteoarthritis. One of the things is decreasing weight. You're going to decrease the weight bearing on those joints, but also it's anti-inflammatory. So it's going to decrease the inflammation in those joints. It's not going to repair those joints. If you already got bone on bone, you're not going to be rejuvenated. Yeah. There's other products that you could use to possibly help you out with that. But
get a nice layer of Ozempic between the knee joints.
Yeah. Or it just becomes fused together. Cardiovascular risk. It's so important. And they're putting so many people.
So I think a lot of people are underestimating the cardiovascular risk reduction, because those are your top killers, right? Yeah. Outside of cancer.
Any patient that has an MI should be put on this.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Agreed.
Or if you have high risk in the family of MI or stroke or any vascular disease, should be put on this, because this sort of helps decrease the inflammation, kind of starts to reverse atherosclerosis. You're not building up the inflammatory product, makes your vessels more elastic, so you don't have the hypertension.
Just overall homeopathy.
Yeah. Well, one of the parts is, as your vessels harden, your blood pressure goes up, right? And you start doing more and more damage to your kidneys, your liver, everything.
And it becomes irreversible after a certain point. You got to stay ahead of it before you have a serious issue. Then you can that's where I think right now, at least, the stage of longevity and longevity medicine it's extending your good years, because once it gets bad, you're not going to be able to do much to change that up.
Yeah, so it's going to change heart attack, stroke, and then also building up plaque for Alzheimer's and early onset dementia.
You say it's funny, people just throw that around and it's oh yeah, I heard it's decrease the risk of heart attack, stroke. It's significantly decreases your risk of dying of one of the most likely causes of your death.
Yeah. So, how crazy. It's so crazy. You think it's a great drug, and then you hear everything else about it too. More recently they've said reverses chronic kidney disease or prevents it. And part of that's due to the anti-inflammatory effects. And one thing that more and more people have and that don't know they have is NASH, which is non-alcoholic steatohepatitis or fatty liver disease. And they're not drinkers. And what this is going to lead to is, if they continue with their bad diet and being obese, it's going to lead to cirrhosis. And with cirrhosis, you just live a miserable life. You're tired. You're going to need surgeries and early death. It's just bad. The Ozempic can reverse some of the fatty liver as you lose weight. This medication you inject once a week.
Fatty liver technically does reverse with loss of weight, right?
Yeah.
So that's an important part. Is like those changes aren't permanent, and you can do something to really like make sure your liver is like the healthiest it could be.
And the other medications, they just add potency, and they work on different receptors. I think I feel much more full when I take tirzepatide as compared to semaglutide. And
how could you feel more full?
Like I feel like my stomach just shrinks down a lot more with it. Somehow.
Like can't fit anything in there. I've never taken it. So
it totally feels like I can't fit anything in there. And the thing you got to talk about is, there are side effects with it that worry some people. Most of my patients that take tirzepatide or semaglutide usually don't have much of them. Some of them do get nauseated, but usually when they get to the higher doses, and that's why we titrate it slowly to get them to those doses rather than going at the high dose itself. I actually tried everything, like all the peptides.
That's why I just asked you rather than
even the semaglutide, like I was actually doing a case with him, and like I took full dose because I've taken all the diet medication in the world, and I'm like, I'm immune to this stuff. I don't lose weight. It doesn't give me jitters.
This guy came in, just took like full dose in the operating room. So I was just like, you okay? He's like, I think I got to go throw up. I'm like, what's going on? I was like, you haven't been drinking? He's like, yeah, I'll be back. Just yakking up a storm because you thought you were too strong.
I was like, I didn't know, like, and I read a lot about it before I even start taking it, but didn't like really look into the side effects because I'm like, nothing really touches me. I've taken everything. So I didn't think, and I was like, man, it was miserable. And I had I think a half a tuna sandwich, not even. And I felt full and that didn't last too long. The other main thing is constipation. It does slow down your GI tract. That's the one thing that people don't understand. They think they can go and get it cheaper from other places. Some places aren't giving you the real stuff, or you're having to go in there to get the shots every week because they take it out of a big container. You don't know sterility-wise if it's sterile. But also like dealing with complications or knowing what happens or what you can do for those complications. I have patients like they get it from their friend or they know some nurse practitioner or someone that's handing it out to them, and they get it or they get samples from some doc, and then they come to me like they're having some complications and they told them to stop it. I'm like, no, you don't need to necessarily stop it. We could supplement, and it's supplements that you should already be taking anyways. Like something we talk about all the time, the daily greens, to be regular and not get the constipation. Like taking daily greens with fiber is going to get you to the appropriate place, and knowing how to dose people.
You really should be doing that whether you're taking Ozempic or not.